There was once a 6-year-old boy named Arin who lived at the edge of a quiet village near the mountains. From the outside, his life looked normal. He had a small family, a home, and simple routines, but inside, his heart was full of questions he couldn't silence. Arin didn't know what his future looked like. He didn't know his purpose. He wasn't sure if he was gifted or just ordinary. Every night, he stared at the stars, hoping life would send an answer. But answers never arrived. One evening, after yet another day filled with confusion and frustration, Arin decided he couldn't continue living without clarity. He remembered hearing villagers talk about a wise monk who lived far inside the mountains, a man who people believed always spoke the truth and never gave wrong guidance. Arin made up his mind. He would travel to meet the monk, and he would not return until he finally understood his direction in life. At sunrise, Arin packed a small bag, just a piece of bread, a water bottle, and a tiny notebook where he wrote his thoughts. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. He feared they would laugh and say he was overthinking life. He walked through muddy roads, crossed shallow rivers, and entered thick forests. He was tired, but inside him, hope walked stronger than fear. Finally, by late evening, he reached a small hut near a waterfall. Smoke was coming from the chimney. A soft light glowed inside, and there he was, the monk, sitting calmly, as if he already knew Arin would arrive. The monk looked at the boy and smiled gently. "Welcome. I could hear your thoughts long before I heard your footsteps." And basing in fart, Arin was shocked. "Arin, master, I came because I need help. I feel lost. I don't know what my life is meant to be. I can't see my future. I don't know who I am supposed to become." The monk nodded slowly, as if the boy's confusion was not unusual. "Sit, child. Let your heart speak." Arin sat down and started talking, not just with words, but with the emotions he had buried for years. Should I study further? Should I follow my passion? Should I choose a safe career? How will I know if I will succeed? What if I choose wrong? Where is my destiny? Why can't I see my future clearly like others? The monk listened silently until Arin's voice cracked and tears filled his eyes. Then Arin asked the real question. "All I want is clarity. Why won't life show me the whole path?" The monk stood up without replying, walked inside his hut, and returned with an old wooden lantern. He handed it to Arin. The boy looked confused. "Arin, master, I didn't come here for a lantern. I came for answers." The monk simply said, "Hold it. Tonight, we walk." It was now pitch black outside. No moon, no stars. The mountains were silent like a sleeping giant. The monk lit the lantern. Its flame was small, soft, and weak. It only illuminated the space 2 or 3 steps ahead. "Arin, master, this lantern is too dim. I can't see the road ahead. You can see your next steps. That is enough." They began to walk through deep darkness, rocks, bushes, and uneven ground beneath their feet. After a few minutes, Arin lost his patience. "How do you expect me to walk confidently when I cannot see the full path?" The monk stopped and said, "Arin, tell me, with this lantern, can you see your next step?" Arin, "Yes, master. I think this really from." "Then take it," said the monk. Arin stepped forward. The monk asked again, "Now can you see the next step?" "Yes." "Then step again." And so Arin continued step by step, even though he still couldn't see the destination. Slowly, the boy understood what was happening. After walking a long distance, the monk stopped and looked at him. "Monk, Arin, life is exactly like this. You demanded to see your full future every turn, every possibility, every failure, every success, before taking even your first step." He continued, "Life never hands you a map. It hands you a lantern. Clarity is not something you get before you move. Clarity is something you earn while moving." The monk placed his hand on Arin's shoulder and said, "Those who wait for full certainty never begin. Those who begin with small clarity eventually reach great clarity." Arin understands. Arin lowered his eyes. He realized he had been stuck not because life refused to show him his path, but because he refused to walk without guarantees. He looked at the lantern again. Such a small object, yet a life-changing symbol. He asked the monk softly, "So master, I should begin even if I don't know where I'll end up?" Monk, "Yes, child. The right path reveals itself only to those who continue walking." He added, Look at the farmer, he plants without knowing how many will grow. Look at the sailor, he sails without seeing land. Look at the writer, he starts with a blank page. Look at the traveler, he sees only the next turn, not the entire destination. Why do you believe you must see everything in advance? Next morning, Arin thanked the monk and began his journey home, not with all the answers, but with something far more powerful: courage to start. He no longer needed perfect clarity. He no longer feared wrong decisions. He no longer waited for a full map. He learned to trust the next step and let the journey reveal the rest. Before leaving, the monk spoke his final words. Remember, Arin, the lantern is small, but if you keep walking, it can take you across the world. Moral of the story is, you don't need to see the whole path to begin. You only need the courage to take your next small step. Because clarity doesn't come before action, it comes because of action.